Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Nick from Australia. This is the second and final video on this Sunday night. Hope you guys are all doing very well. If you haven't checked out the Brisbane Broncos 2021 predicted NRL team that I did just before, make sure you go and check that video out as well. But right now we're going to be doing the Penrith Panthers 2021 predicted NRL side. So as always, I've gone through their squad. I've had a good look at their roster. I've come up with a 1-17 for the Panthers, which I think would be their best side, and I've got 4 reserve players like I have in all the other ones in case of injury and suspension. So let's get into it. So fullback, I've gone with Dylan Edwards. On the wings, Charlie Staines and Brian To'o. In the centres, Brent Naden and Stephen Crichton. In the halves, the 5'8", Jerome Luai, and the halfback, Nathan Cleary. The front row of Moses Leota and James Fisher-Harris. The hooker is Api Coruscant. The second row is William Kikau and Liam Martin. The lock is Isaiah Yeo. And on the interchange bench, it is Tyrone May, Spencer Liunu, Matt Eisenhuth, and Scott Sorensen. The coach is Ivan Cleary. And the 4 reserve players that I think will be in the 21-man squad each or most of the season anyway. I've gone with Matt Burton, Paul Momorowski, Billy Bones, and Mitch Kenny. That is my Penrith Panthers 2021 predicted NRL team. I'll start with the fullback, Dylan Edwards. I think it's a no-brainer. I thought he had a fantastic season last year. Probably his best year to date, in my opinion. Thought he was fantastic. I was critical of Dylan Edwards at the start of last year, and he pretty much proved me wrong. He is a very good fullback, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes this year. After a great year last year, I think Dylan Edwards will only get better. The wingers, Charlie Staines and Brian To'o. I'll start with Charlie Staines. He's taken Josh Mansour's place on the wing for the Panthers. A lot of pressure on the young kid, Charlie Staines. There's a lot of potential about him. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes, but I think he'll do a fairly solid job for a young kid. So I got him on the wing, along with Brian To'o. I thought he had a magnificent season last year. Brian To'o is definitely a player of the future, and I think he will only get better as the years go on. So I've got Staines and To'o on the wings. In the centres, I've gone with Brent Naden and Stephen Crichton. Now, Brent Naden was dropped a little bit at the back end of the season. Obviously, he had his issues, as we all know about now. But I think out of all the centres that are fighting for that spot, between Naden, Tyrone May, and Paul Momorowski, I think Brent Naden will probably get the nod, and I think he's probably the best guy for the job. So I've got Brent Naden in the centres at the moment. I think he will be under pressure, though, because you've got Momorowski and Tyrone May both fighting out for those spots as well. The other centre I got is Stephen Crichton. Had a phenomenal season last year for the Panthers on that left side. He had a good combination with Jerome Luai and William Kikau. I think Stephen Crichton's only going to get better. Had a phenomenal year last year. His development is scary. You know, last year was his full first year in the NRL, and he was probably one of the best centres in the game. So it's scary on how good Stephen Crichton can get. So obviously he's in the centres with Brent Naden. In the halves, 5'8", Jerome Luai, halfback Nathan Cleary. Now, Jerome Luai, I'm a big fan of this bloke. I think he's only going to get better as well. I think he's a future New South Wales State of Origin player. He's a phenomenal 5'8". He does all the little things right. Good at kicking the ball in the last tackle. Good at running at the line. Good at defending. A very good player, Jerome Luai. I think he's going to have another huge year this year. Jerome Luai, halfback, Nathan Cleary. It's no secret that I'm not a fan of Nathan Cleary, but you got to admit, his regular season last year was fantastic. Had probably the best season of his career last year. And, you know, if he can go back to that form like he did last year, it'll be interesting to see how he goes. But in my opinion, I don't think Nathan Cleary can be as good as he was last year, but we'll see how he goes. But obviously, he's in the halves with Jerome Luai. The front row, Moses Leota and James Fisher-Harris. Now, obviously, Penrith have lost James Tarmo to the West Tigers. I need someone to play front row with Fisher-Harris. I think Moses Leota will be the man to do the job. I think he's been very good for a couple of years now. Moses Leota coming off the bench, being an impact player. I think it's time for him to get a start at the Panthers. I think he'll do a very good job for the Panthers, Moses Leota. So hopefully he can fill the void for Tarmo, and I've got him in the front row at this stage, along with James Fisher-Harris. In my opinion, probably one of the best props last year, probably in the top 3. Obviously, he was front row of the year with Josh Papali, but Fisher-Harris last year was fantastic, and I think he's the bloke, Fisher-Harris, where he will definitely get better. He's a very good player, Fisher-Harris, so I've got him in the front row with Moses Leota, the hooker, Api Coruscant, one of the elite hookers in the game, probably in the top 3 best hookers in the world. You know, you've got so many great hookers in the game, and I think Api Coruscant was one of the best. So, you know, his combination last year with the spine, with Luai, Cleary, and Edwards, it was sensational. And I think Api Coruscant is only going to get better. So, I think he'll have a big year, Api Coruscant. The second row, William Kikau and Liam Martin. William Kikau, man, this bloke, he's probably the best second row in the game, along with Angus Crichton. This bloke, William Kikau, he scatters the defensive line like you won't believe it. Every time he gets the ball, just watch the defensive line bend. It just goes all over the shop. It takes about 2 or 3 players just to put him down. He's a fantastic player. He is probably the most damaging back row in the game. And I think Kikau, he's the sort of player too. He's not even old too. He's still young. I think he's still. I think last year was probably the best year of his career. I think he's in his prime at the moment, and I think he'll have another big year in 2021. Along with the other second row, who was very improved last year, Liam Martin. He had a really good combination on that right side of the field with Nathan Cleary. They combined very well. Now, Liam Martin, I think he's a bit of a smoky for the New South Wales Origin side this year. I think he could be a bit of a dark horse to make the squad. Don't know if he'll play, but if he can get better and just improve week in, week out, then he could play for New South Wales this year. You never know, but Liam Martin, a player to watch out for. I think he could have another big year this year. And the lock, Isaiah Yeo, the lock of the year last year. Thought he was fantastic most of last year, Isaiah Yeo. He's now the co-captain with Nathan Cleary. More responsibility for Isaiah Yeo, and I think he's the perfect man for the job, and I think he'll do a very good job for the Panthers again this year. He's a player that's going to only get better as well. And now let's get onto the bench. The jersey 14, my utility player for Penrith. I've gone with Tyrone May. He can play in the halves. He can play in the centres. He can play hooker if he feels an injury. Tyrone May, I think he's the perfect play for this side to be that jersey 14. He can play a heap of positions, and I think Tyrone May on the bench as that jersey 14 is perfect. I've also got Spencer Leniu. Now, he's been on the bench for a while as well now for the Panthers. I think he's a perfect impact player. He'll come on for Fisher-Harris, come on and just add some spark and just be that impact player and try and get some good meters for the Panthers. So, got him on the bench, along with Matt Eisenhuth, who left the West Tigers to go to Penrith. He'll be on the bench for the Panthers, I believe, and I think he's the sort of player to watch out for. He's a very good player, Matt Eisenhuth. Hasn't really been given the opportunities at the West Tigers, so at Penrith, I think he will shine. And the other player on the bench I got is Scott Sorensen. Now, I'm a big fan of Scott Sorensen. I rate him. I think he'll have a big year at Penrith. He'll probably come on and play a bit of back row, maybe a bit of front row. Scott Sorensen's a player to watch out for this year. I think he'll be good off the bench for the Panthers. Now, the 4 reserve players I got, first one I got is Matt Burton. Now, Matt Burton might not be at Penrith. He might be at Canterbury early. We don't know what the situation is with that yet, but if Matt Burton's not there, then I think Jamin Salmon might be in the reserves. But at this stage, I think Matt Burton will be in the reserves. He'll play if there's an injury to Luai or Cleary, but at this stage, he'll be in the reserves. Along with Paul Momirovski, a bit like Matt Burton, I think he will only play if Brent Naden plays bad, or if he can get in there over Charlie Staines if there's an injury. But Paul Momirovski, he'll definitely be in the 21-man squad every week, I think. So Momirovski is in the reserves, along with Billy Burns. I thought he had a good year last year, Billy Burns. I don't think he'll be in the 17, but I wouldn't be too shocked if he was in the starting side or on the bench for the Panthers. But at this stage, I think he'll be in the reserves. And the last player I got is Mitch Kenny. Now, Mitch Kenny, he's a hooker. He did play a little bit of lock last year in like maybe for like 10, 15 minutes. I do remember Mitch Kenny playing the odd 10 to 15 minutes at lock. So I think Mitch Kenny will only play if there's an injury to Api Coruscant, if there's an injury to Isaiah Yeo, and he may come onto the bench. But at this stage, I think he'll be the backup hooker. for Penrith if there's an injury to anyone. But anyway, guys, that's my Penrith Panthers 2021 predicted NRL team. Let me know your Penrith Panthers 2021 predicted NRL team in the comments section below. Anyway, guys, I'm getting out of here. If you enjoyed the 2 videos tonight, make sure you guys go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. As always, guys, thanks for watching the video. Have a fantastic Sunday night. Have a great Monday as well. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night for the Corner Post. Until then, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.